This episode is sponsored today by the book 10 Tips on How to Survive Your Parents' Divorce. This book was written by kids. It's for kids. It's a coloring book. When you have a tragedy of divorce and you have young children who do not know how to express themselves, this coloring book, 10 Tips on How to Survive Your Parents' Divorce, is the coloring book for them. Pick it up today at blendingthefamily.com or even on Amazon. 10 Tips on How to Survive Your Parents' Divorce. Again, written by kids, for kids.
All right, welcome to another podcast known as... Oops. Oh my gosh, I ripped the earbuds out of my ears. What was I saying? Blending the Family, the podcast. Tommy Mahoney. Hold on, gotta get the seatbelt on, got the windows rolled down, and I have so many things I just want to discuss with you because it's been a great day. I mean, oh my gosh, it is beautiful out. Just back up, hopefully I don't run over any dogs. And I gotta talk about the dogs. We gotta talk dogs real quickly. All right. This is a one-way driveway, so hopefully nobody's gonna be coming the opposite direction. And yeah, I think, because I don't have my GPS on, and I don't know which way I'm going to go, but I'm going to figure it out. I got to figure it out. And you're probably going, but Tommy, where are you at? Or as my good friend Jonathan would say, yo, dog, where are you at? And I am actually leaving a doggy daycare place in Longmont, Colorado. And it's a nice place. If I was a dog, I'd hang out there. I would love to hang out there. But why am I here? It was a job interview. Yeah. I'm very excited. I think, for somebody who has grown older and really don't want to hang out with people, might as well hang out with dogs. And of course, there's a car trying to turn as I'm trying to get going. Oops, sorry. Thank you. All right. So let's turn left here. What a gorgeous day. I got to repeat this. It's a gorgeous day in Colorado. I can see the mountains, blue skies, cows to the left, cows to the right of me. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I had a job interview at this doggy daycare center, went on Facebook, and I don't know if you've seen this on Facebook, but they do have job listings, and it's not going to be like there's some horses. What about the horses? It's not going to be on Facebook where, you're getting an executive position. It's more of, labor, we're not talking $20 an hour type jobs, but I saw this job on Facebook working, and it's less than an hour from the house versus making the 3-hour commute. The drive here was just, I know it's not always sunny and gorgeous. We do have our occasional snow like we did on Saturday, but just a gorgeous drive out here to Longmont, Colorado from Greeley, Colorado. And so I am excited about this possible opportunity because, number one, need some work because things are starting to percolate. I had, if you've been watching on either Facebook or on LinkedIn, I'm doing some career coaching. I had my first client this morning, and the biggest compliment this guy Robert gave me was, at first he was a little, I don't want to say standoffish of me, but he said I sounded like I was in my early 20s. That was a huge compliment. That he thought I was in my early 20s. All right, so I know I had to turn left here. And anyway, as the kids would say, I dropped some knowledge on him to help him find some work and improve his LinkedIn profile. He was very, very, what's the word? Very, I mean, he accepted things I advised him to change. And one of the biggest changes I told him to do was change the profile picture on his LinkedIn. Because what you should have, and here's a LinkedIn tip, is from the shoulders on up. Should be just a profile picture, not you on the golf course or not you after you just graduated from college. It should be a profile picture. Okay. If you look at mine, I experimented with mine. I did black and white on mine. Just want to try something different. But that's my tip to you. Make sure you change your picture on LinkedIn if you haven't already done that. All right, so left, right. Crap, I think Yellowstone. Okay. Yeah, I think this is the way I came. Car? Nope, no car. All right. Here's something that hasn't happened in a while. The engine light is back on. It went off and came back on. And hence, need the job, a little bit of a steady income to eventually get that fixed. Yeah. But, so there we go. We have the possible of a part-time-ish, full-time-ish job working at a doggy daycare center. I'm doing the career coaching. Another startup that's in the incubator stage is where I will be running the podcast. Oh, let me close up the window. Sorry about that. So, working with another startup company where if you have a business and you need help with that business as far as getting new customers, retaining customers, I will be talking about that more as that starts progressing. I had to send my buddy Dan my wish list for what I needed to run the podcasting side of things, and really didn't ask for much. Just needed a couple things. Like, one thing I did request, one additional microphone. One another. We're gonna go for it. We're going for it. So if you hear a crash, that's me getting to a. Oh, we did it. Oh, it's all good. Oh, good. All right. All right. So where was I before I was trying to do my speed racer impersonation? We have again the part-time, full-time possibility working at the doggy daycare center. The career coaching. The jobhelpers.com. If you need your resume done, if you need your cover letter done, you need some coaching, I am here for you. I don't do the resume stuff. That's beyond my pay grade. That's beyond my scope of doing things. I love doing the LinkedIn, spending time with people on LinkedIn, and improving little things. So here, let me give you, let me think if I can think of a couple more. But number one, as I stated, make sure you have a good profile for your LinkedIn. Number two would be not necessarily dealing with LinkedIn, but this is a lesson I have learned, and I want to share this with you, is especially if you're sending out resumes and you're still using the same email address that you had from college, and it's, I don't know, dude22 at AOL.com. All right, it's time to grow up and change your email address. So my recommendation for you for your email address, and again, especially if you're sending out resumes, is to have just your name. Your name. I learned this because I have an email address dealing with the year I was born. okay? So definitely think about changing your email address. Definitely change it to just your name, okay? And if your name is like Bob Smith, if you're maybe Bob Smith Jr., or maybe try the Bob Smith, play around with it, okay? Play around with it, because recruiters and companies are going to, unfortunately, they're going to look at an email address, especially if it has the year you're born, and if you're past a certain age, they might not even respond to you, okay? Change your profile, upgrade your email address, and the third thing is, I would say recommendations on your LinkedIn profile. Not only asking, but giving recommendations, okay? And it's not always going to be 50-50. You're not always going to have the same amount of receiving recommendations and giving recommendations. My thing, give more recommendations than asking for. It just makes you look as a kinder person, that you're not a egomaniac, that you're not selfish. So that would be my 3 tips for you on that. What is this? Is this 56? No, I don't want 56. What's going on up here? We have an accident? No? I don't know. Anyway, I digress. Squirrel! What else is going on with you? Man, haven't heard from you in a while. I know I put up a Driving While Podcasting the other day. I've got so many guests lined up. Oh my gosh. And I'm going to be a guest. I haven't mentioned this. I'm going to be a guest on a podcast. So once that gets closer, please check Instagram, Blending Family. Check my Facebook, Tommy Maloney. Check LinkedIn, which is the Tommy Maloney. I will let you know when that's happening. But if you heard the last episode of Driving While Podcasting, went to Connor had a baseball game. Unfortunately, they lost, but that's okay. It's a learning opportunity for all the kids. My only thing is, as a dad, as a parent, you know, you're watching these kids. Some of them are afraid to get dirty. Yeah, I know, hard to believe. They're afraid to get dirty. Go, get down on that ball. You know, don't be afraid. That's why the washer and dryer were invented, to clean. Get dirty. My gosh. I just can't imagine when I played baseball, and probably you too. Maybe you played. My gosh, you always got dirty. You love to get dirty. You were like the pig pen of baseball. That's how dirty you got, right? Pig pen of baseball. But I was bummed they lost. They're playing okay. Their season started off really well, but they played some really tough teams in their conference. And then what's going on with the girls? Let me give you an update on the girls. Becca, if you listen to this podcast, you've heard Becca on this podcast when I interviewed her a while back. She's just being a teenage girl. They've got prom coming up. And then the oldest, Betsy, what's going on with her? She update on her leg. I believe I mentioned this, that she had broken her leg in 2 places. She's walking okay these days. No, I don't think she's wearing her brace, but she was wearing one of those Velcro braces for her knee, for her leg. And this coming weekend, so I don't know when I'm going to post this. What's today? Wednesday? Maybe I'll post it when I get home. Or Thursday. Because Friday, who do I have on the show? I can't think. I think it's Jason. drawing Jason's last name. Kreiderman. I think it's Jason Kreiderman of Dudes to Dads podcast. We had a great conversation. And I eventually had to stop the conversation because I had to pee. How sad is that? You're having a great conversation. Yeah, I guess I could have stopped. Say, hey, I'll be right back. Let's take a break. But we were past the hour mark at that point. I'm just like, oh my gosh, just great conversation. And then Patrick Boone, who has a Facebook group, Parents Junction. Patrick Boone. Find him on Facebook. Patrick Boone. He and I had another wonderful conversation about parenting, about growing coaching businesses. And then Satya. I cannot pronounce her last name for the life of me, and I'm going to have to practice that, but Satya. She's also a parenting coach. Very, very kind lady. Very cerebral, if I'm pronouncing that right. Heard her on one of my mentors, Stephen James Peterson's podcast. Check him out on LinkedIn, Stephen James Peterson. Rising Sun podcast, I think. I'm sorry, Stephen, I screwed that up. But the two of them were just fantastic on Stephen's podcast. Again, because they're very like-minded, and they use those $20 words that I have to sit back and go, what? I gotta look that up. I gotta look that word up. Was it? I think. I'm rereading. I shouldn't say rereading. I'm reading Think and Grow Rich right now, and I'm also listening to Think and Grow Rich in the car because it was just one of those books that just shouted out to me. And I'm saying I'm not rereading because I've never really gone all the way through it. I remember when I first joined LinkedIn, there was a gentleman, and I can't remember his last name. First name was Martin. And Martin, he's in the UK. He had and I haven't talked to this guy in years, but he had this group that was like a book group, a virtual book group about Think and Grow Rich. And I told him I just started reading it at the time. And the thing that turns me off about Think and Grow Rich, and I understand this book was done way in the 30s, and I get it. And the book I have now is a little bit of an updated version. For example, they talk about like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the book, and I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head that's somewhat modern for the book. But a lot of the old, very old school mentality, where they talk a lot about sex, it really, this is going to sound funny, but it really turned me off. And so I was like, I'm not going to read this, okay? And even with the CDs, I stopped listening to the Think and Grow Rich CDs. But, like I said, I've gone back to it, and reading the book at night, and then I listened to the CDs as I was driving. So, for example, on my way driving to the job interview, I was listening to Think and Grow Rich because it helped me start thinking about the interview. It started helping me think about questions I should ask. And it's really funny and ironic at the same time, now launching into being a career coach for the job helpers. I'm going through what a lot of our clients are going through, having to go through, a job interview. And, here, that's a garbage truck. I better slow down or else I'm going to be in that garbage truck. Oh, he's at the side of the road. Oh, this is going to be awkward because it's on a hill and I can't see around him. I don't know if I can go around. Am I going around him? I don't know. Dude, just wave me over. Come on, wave me over. No? All right. Anyway, it's great to be in that situation where you're going through a job interview process. And one of the things that really resonated with me right away in listening to the CD of Think and Grow Rich was talking about how a lot of self-made millionaires, they didn't really become self-made millionaires till their late 40s and into their 50s, and which really gave me a lot of confidence because, you know, the theory is, you know, you look at somebody like Mark Zuckerberg, or, I mean, even Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. I mean, they were young men when they created Apple. But if you think about other self-made millionaires, people like Colonel Sanders, he wasn't into his 60s by the time he really hit success. Dave, the Wendy's guy. Oh, what's his name? Shoot. He was late in his life as well when it came to being successful. Dave Thomas. Thank you. Dave Thomas. So don't think that you're going to be successful early in your age, because you have to go through experiences. You have to go through life experiences. You have to go and, you know, take jobs that you really didn't want. Oh, did I? I think I missed. I missed my turn. No, I'm good. I'm good. Just at a stop sign. Come on, cement truck. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna play caution. I'm gonna be cautious. All right. Something I just want to mention real quick about job interviews. I was always that person. I learned this from my mom. God bless my mom. And that was, you know, when you go to a job interview, you dress for success, okay? But there have been times where some jobs I would overdress, okay? I'd overdress. And that's okay. Here's what I wore today. Maybe I should take a picture of it. I might take a picture of it. But my mom sent me a tie. This tie has these different colored Labrador retrievers on it. So I'm in a white shirt. I've got this dress tie on, or this doggy tie, I should say, and a pair of black slacks. Normally I'd be in a suit. I really would be. But then I was just like, you know what? Let me try something different. And different in this situation is I'm not wearing a suit. However, different in the retrospect of wearing a tie, but I'm showing my personality. I hope that makes sense. I'm not telling you if you're going to like a corporate job interview that you're going to wear a cartoon type tie. Okay, I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you dress professionally, but bring your personality. And if you can't bring your personality of what you're wearing, show it. Show your personality. Okay? So that's my thought on that. All right. I know I had another point, lost it, talking about, we were talking about self-made millionaires. I was speaking with this client this morning, this coaching client this morning, and he's in his late 50s. And as men, and this is what I think I won bonus points with him, and was that as men, we our identity is our income, our identity is the job we have, and it's not true. Okay, it's not true. Your identity is what kind of family man are you? What kind of husband are you? What kind of parent are you? What kind of coworker are you? Okay? That's your identity, not how much money you bring in, the type of job you have. Again, I'm going to use me as an example where, there's I think, $11 an hour job. But you know what? I know could be temporary, but at the same time, I can bring, not necessarily just value, but I think I can impact the business as well. So, for example, this is, again, if you're going for job interviews, make sure you're doing your research. And I made sure I did my research. And the young lady I was speaking with, I think she really appreciated the questions I brought to her. And I also noticed some things about, for example, their website. The website doesn't have a blog. Their website doesn't have, for example, YouTube, a link to YouTube. They don't do any YouTube content. So that's something I can offer to them. So don't just go to a job interview thinking you're applying for X, okay? Just because you're applying to become an accountant doesn't mean you're just going to be an accountant. What other skills can you bring to that company that you instantly can make an impact on, okay? Think about that. Think about what other ways. There's something some companies have been starting to do is creating an internal entrepreneurship. So what does that mean? All right, so let me use the example of the doggy daycare center. I, many years ago, worked at another doggy daycare center. I'm not going to mention her name because I just wasn't a fan of theirs. Anyway, but the one thing that I really thought was cool that they had, and this is very thinking outside the box and very forward thinking, was that they had a webcam inside. They had an outdoor play area and then indoor play area. So inside and outside they had cameras. So as the dog owner, you can go, hey, I wonder how Snoopy's doing. Let me check on Snoopy. And you'd log into the website, and there you go. You could see the dogs playing either indoors or outdoors, depending on the weather. But I thought that was very forward thinking. So that's something, if I get this opportunity, that's definitely something I'm going to ask them about is, hey, what do you think about this? Or even shooting YouTube videos. Because you may or may not be aware that video, especially when you're, let's say you have a commute, you're sitting on a train, video is so important. Video is so impactful these days that's an opportunity for you as a business owner, as a leader. Bringing video content is major now. So that's something I would bring up to them, not right away, because I don't want to just come off with, spewing out all these ideas, but, you know, what value can I bring to them, and then show them the impact of that value. I hope that makes sense. I really do hope that makes sense, okay? But again, just because you're applying for a certain job does not mean for you to just put yourself in a bubble and go, I'm only doing this job. And, you know, for you know, the last day job I had, the one that really spawned on the Driving While Podcasting, was twofold. Number one, it created a podcast because Steven Peterson recommended. He said, well, you've got an hour and a half in your car driving, an hour and a half driving to and from, so you have a 3-hour round-trip commute. What can you do to add value to your audience? And this is where this came about. But the thing that I was thinking was going to happen at the day job was I was going to create their training department. Again, thinking as an internal entrepreneur, but unfortunately that didn't happen. But I'm going to say fortunately, because it's a good thing. It's a good thing. This is all a good thing. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay? All right. I think I've spoken your ears off way too long. I really didn't expect to do another podcast today, but because I have to go home and I have to edit and get this week's podcast up. I want to get this one out and probably get it out as soon as I get home. I don't know what to tell you. I guess I really do miss Driving While Podcasting. I really miss, and I'm hoping I'm making an impact for you. And I'm making these gestures in my car, and there's a car next to me staring at me like I'm some kind of freak. But I know I'm a freak. That's okay. Life is good. Life is good. And I hope some of the suggestions today to improve your LinkedIn profile, to help you if you are in a job search mode right now, that I hope I've offered you information that you can use, that you will use. You know, I was, again, very fortunate this morning talking to Robert. He was very open-minded, even though at first he thought I was some 20-year-old kid that didn't know what the heck he was talking about, which it still cracks me up. Somebody else thought I was like real young too. I can't remember who it was, but I guess that's a good thing. And this is why I don't like doing a lot of video, because you'll see the gray hair. You'll see that ugly thing that's on my lips still. If you've seen my Facebook stuff, the Facebook Live stuff I've been doing, which I'll probably do when I get home. I'm going to do a Facebook Live of presenting these LinkedIn tips. Ooh, we got traffic. Hey, traffic on Highway 34 going east. It looks like bumper to bumper. That's not good. That's not good. Traffic on the ones coming up. High of the 70s today here in Greeley, Colorado. I don't know if it is the 70s. I'm just making that up, but shoot, I think I have to get. Ooh, I do. I gotta get over. Hold on, bear with me. Let me just get over. All right. Excellent. I think this was a good time. Did you have a good time? I'm not home yet, but I'm getting close to getting home. But, I got to stop at the bank. That's one thing I have to do. Thanks for reminding me that I'd stop at the bank. But there you go. That's it. We talked about LinkedIn. We talked about the family. I hope I've given you some information that you can use or share with others that possibly are in a job search situation, or men. Remember, your job, your career, your financial paycheck does not define you. Ladies, let's let let the men know that, okay? Let the men know that. As long as you men are a great dad, and I'm sure you are, you're listening to this podcast. Of course you're a great dad, okay? But just remember, men, don't be afraid to ask for help, okay? Don't be afraid to ask for help. All right. And I'm gonna use the one I used the other day. I'm gonna use the one I used the other day of how I ended that podcast, because I firmly believe it. I firmly believe it. And I heard this from Terry Crews, that your success is my success. And if you would, please email me, Tommy@blendingthefamily.com, Tommy@blendingthefamily.com, and let me know what that means to you. There you go. What does that mean to you? All right? However you get this podcast, please leave a rating review. Okay? Come on, 5 stars on iTunes. You can do it. I know you can. You love me. I love you back. I will love you back. And if you're a fellow podcaster, if you are a fellow person who does a podcast, shoot me an email, shoot me a link to your podcast, and I will leave a rating and review for you as well. Okay? There you go. You have a great day. Remember, your success, my success. Peace out.
This episode is sponsored today by the book 10 Tips on How to Survive Your Parents' Divorce. This book was written by kids. It's for kids. It's a coloring book. When you have a tragedy of divorce and you have young children who do not know how to express themselves, this coloring book, 10 Tips on How to Survive Your Parents' Divorce, is the coloring book for them. Pick it up today at blendingthefamily.com or even on Amazon. 10 Tips on How to Survive Your Parents' Divorce. Again, written by kids for kids.